What is up, guys, and welcome back to Shooting the Shit Uncensored, baby! It is me, your host, the bald, the beard, the beautiful Piers Austin, and we are powered to you. We are brought to you and powered to you by the MWA Podcast Network and the Realm Network, where you can get an exclusive first look at our 4 core shows, which is Shooting the Shit Uncensored with me, Killing the Business with former ECW original, the Kingpin, Angel Medina, King Mega, and Sexton. You can also check out an exclusive first look at Get Funked, hosted by former WCW and TNA star Alan Kwee Funk. And you can also check out Knights of the Gimmick Table, where your feelings get checked at the door, hosted by the Dead Presidents, Boogaloo and Lowrider. So make sure you get an exclusive first look at all of those 4 shows every single week, guys. My show I bring multiple times per week. And also you can check out all of our other stuff that we've got going on the MWA Podcast Network. We've got a sports podcast coming up, which is going to be hosted by King Mega and the Dead Presidents. We've got the NXT review show, NXT Roundup, hosted by Sexton and myself. And also, guys, we're going to have available to you guys live every single week is going to be the Funkin' Kingpin show. So make sure you check that out, hosted by Alan Kwee Funk and the Kingpin himself, Angel Medina. But guys, before we get into tonight's show, let's take some time to thank those sponsors to help us keep these colored lights that I got going on up in this house. First up, guys, is the Wrestling Universe. Now, guys, let me tell you something about the Wrestling Universe. This place is your one-stop shop for all your wrestling merchandise. They have all kinds of WWE, TNA, UFC, WCW, ECW, action figures, past and present. They carry t-shirts, wrestling cards, autographed 8x10s, masks, belts, and much, much more. Guys, also, if you are in Queens, New York, they have in-store signings with some of the biggest names from the wrestling world, guys. They recently just had in there Mr. Darby Allin. They've also got coming up Missy Hyatt's going to be in there. Christy Hemi's going to be there, guys, and many, many more. So check out their website. Stay up to date with who they've got coming in there. All of their autographed items, guys, come with a certificate of authenticity. And guys, if you're like me, you live on the other side of the world, the other side of the planet, it doesn't matter. The Wrestling Universe has got you covered. They ship internationally, so you know you can get everything that you're looking for from the WrestlingUniverse.com. Next up, guys, is Sleeves.com. If you or someone you know is an athlete, Sleeves.com is the place for you. Guys, they've got armbands, they've got knee sleeves, they've got compression pants, compression tights, headbands, joggers, socks. They've even got dirty boxes, guys. And let me tell you something. They sent me out a bunch of these dirty boxes, and they are the most comfortable boxes that I own. I'm an active guy. Well, I'm in lockdown now for 7 weeks, but I've got 3 kids, so I'm always running around. I'm always sweating. These boxes stay fresh. They stay dry. They are amazing. Make sure you go and check out Sleeves.com. Use promo code MWAPOD and get a 10% discount on checkout. But, guys, once you're done there, if you're like me, you're an ex-smoker or you are a current smoker, you are a vapor, or whatever it is that you're doing that you shouldn't be doing, head to healthvape.com and check out some of their amazing products. All of their products are no nicotine, not nicotine, no nicotine, no addictive or harmful products, and they are vitamin infused. So make sure you go and check out some of their vape and pod products. Use code MWAPOD and you will get a 10% discount on checkout. Guys, tonight my guest is someone I've been wanting to have on for a little while, who's someone who just sort of appeared in the Australian wrestling scene, who's someone who just appeared in the wrestling world. And when I stumbled across my guest Delta tonight, I was like, oh my goodness, this is one of the most intimidating people I have ever seen in my life. But guys, let me bring her out. She is our South Australia's own, from RCW Deathmatch and also Deathmatch Down Under, Delta. Delta, thank you for coming on the show. It's a pleasure to have you.
Hello, thank you for having me.
It's an absolute pleasure. As I said, like you kind of like, I don't know, for me at least, like you've just sort of come out of nowhere. I've seen you, I think, get promoted for a couple of different promotions, and on my Twitter feed, I've seen either I think it was a clip of you in the ring or you in the ring, and it was like, my God, you were like the most intimidating human I have ever seen. Like,
Yeah. Look,
how
it's all looks.
how did you get into wrestling? Like, how long have you been in the scene? Because it's like I said, for me, it's I've just discovered you.
In the scene on shows, I haven't been on that long. I debuted on New Year's Eve, so
Wow.
been in the scene for maybe 8 months. But I've been wrestling for 2 years, so I've been behind the scenes for a little bit longer than that. But
Sure.
I got into wrestling because of my brother. So he's been
Is he a
wrestling.
wrestler?
Yeah. He's Dean Brady. So he's been wrestling for, God, 9 years now. So,
Oh wow.
mm.
How was the family meeting when you said you wanted to break in and follow in your brother's footsteps? Was everyone supportive of it?
Oh, absolutely. But it kind of started out as a joke. I was like, hey, this wrestling thing, maybe I'll start wrestling. And everyone's like, yeah, okay. And the more I joked about it, the more it kind of became serious.
Yeah.
And eventually my brother started coming to me and he's like, when are you gonna try out? When are you gonna start wrestling? I'm like, wait, you want me to wrestle? Like I thought I was gonna be the annoying little sister that he didn't want around, but it was quite the opposite.
Oh wow, that's
Yeah.
amazing. And like, so like, were you a fan of it though? Like, or were you just sort of like, yeah, I'm gonna go along here?
Well, I watched it here and there when my brother watched it when we were kids.
Mhm.
But as I grew up, I kind of grew out of it. So I've never really been a diehard fan of wrestling. But now that I'm in it and it's
Yeah.
basically taken over my life, now I watch more of it. And now I just more and more I want to be a part of it.
You know what's interesting is like I've had a few conversations recently with people that like weren't necessarily like big diehard fans when they first got into the business, and
Mm.
it's like, you know what I mean? Like from seeing it from different perspective, obviously you had the family connection with your brother doing it and wanting to give it a try, and other people doing it for different reasons as well, and then falling in love with the business. To me,
Mhm.
I find that like really intriguing, like and really interesting as well, because like by the time you decided to go in there, were you watching much of the product at all, like from any product?
Not at all. No. When I joined, I had a little bit of a clue what I was doing, but not that much. I was just going in a blank canvas and I was just like, teach me what you want. Teach me what you want to teach me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Did you find like when you went in there, like some like of the trainers were looking at you going, well, you know, she's not really a fan of this. Like, is she going to respect the business? Do you think that
Um,
there was some sort of like not a disconnect, but do you think that they had their guard up a little bit about that?
well, no one really knew that I wasn't a fan. Still people are discovering that I haven't been a fan and they're like, what? You're at this level and you're not a fan? Um, but my brother had taught me some wrestling moves before I tried out. So he
Yeah.
taught me rolls and bumps and suplexes. So I went into the tryout already knowing things and already be able to do things. They're like, wow, she's like really good. But
He smartened you up and gave you some training before you went in there.
yeah,
So,
yeah.
but like having a relative in the business, that kind of would be like you'd have to go in there with a little, like knowing some sort of what some of the basics are.
Hmm.
But like as far as like, you know, going there and actually trying out, how did you find you know, getting in there and taking the first bumps and moving around? Like did you have a like an athletic background?
Oh, not really. I was quite a chubby child, so but I didn't find it too difficult. Taking the first bumps were very interesting. Takes the wind out of you, but no, I kind of caught on to everything quite. I don't want to say quickly, but I caught on it well. Um, yeah, so it wasn't
Yeah.
too difficult.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And like, what do you, you know, like, what do you think it was the biggest challenge for you, like breaking in? You know, do you think that like there was an expectation because your brother had been around for a while, and you know there was an
Yeah,
expectation that you picked things up quick?
There was definitely an expectation to. My brother's quite a hard worker. He's always in the gym and he's always giving 100%. And
Yeah.
He's quite good at wrestling. So there was an expectation for me to match that. But both my brother and I have the same mindset of hard work. So it wasn't too difficult. My biggest challenge for me is self-doubt and just being scared of everything. So when they came to do a scary move, I'm just like, I don't know if I can do this. So, and I'm still trying to get over that fear.
Yeah.
It's still a challenge.
So as far as like your training went, like you mentioned, you sort of been behind the scenes for 2 years. So, you've been training for 2 years, and was it like obviously leading into that New Year's Eve show, they come to you and say, hey, we believe you're ready to sort of be on this show? Or were you sort of like pushing to be on shows like the whole time within that 2 years? Like where was it at for you?
I mean, I wasn't really pushing for anything. I knew that when they thought that I was ready, they would put me on, and I believed that. I had a little debut moment. It was October 31st, I think. It was a Halloween show, and I came in and I gave an F5 to Savannah Summers. And I was supposed to have my debut match in December, but COVID came and hit us, and that didn't happen. So then we had a New Year's Eve show at Hades Hula House, and they're like, hey, there you go. And I was in a tag match with my brother. So that was really cool.
Yeah. And like, do you feel like your nerves were sort of like settled a little bit more having your brother there in the match, like as a comfort?
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. I having someone there to have my back when I'm about to mess up, or especially someone as experienced as him, he knows when I'm about to have a deer in the headlights moment and just be like, oh, what do I do now? Yeah, he had my back. So that was very good.
And as far as like the match went into it, how were you feeling going into it? Were you very anxious about it? Were you was the nerve sort of like really kicking in?
Oh, absolutely. It's such a rush though. I was just trying to get over it, but my heart was racing.
I can just imagine like performing in front of people, no matter what it is. It's like it gets that sort of adrenaline going, no matter what sort of performance that you're doing. And it's like, especially when you're doing something for the first time, like that sort of thing would be like, like because you know what I mean. You don't know how you're going to react. But how big was the crowd that night? Do you remember?
It was about 30
so, how many?
Was 30 people. It was in a back of a car park, so it was quite an interesting first moment for me, definitely.
But that's the thing. That sounds like everyone's great first match. Like, my first match was in a car park, like in front of 30 people.
I feel like I'm a part of the old guys where they say, "Oh, I wrestled in front of 2 people." It's like, what? So,
sitting there with everyone's brothering out in the back. So, but as far as like once you sort of started training and started to sort of make some headway there, like what was sort of some of the biggest inspirations that you were looking for? Because I can imagine for 2 years, like getting like training and going through everything, you would sort of have some sort of mentality of like what sort of character, what sort of performer that you would be. Did you have any in mind of what you wanted the Delta character to be? Like, how did that come about?
Oh, look, I just wanted to be a beast, really. I just wanted to be the biggest, meanest looking chick out there. I don't really, it's more the people around me, like, especially in RCW, that inspire me. Like when I have people beside me and they're working hard like me, or they're working even harder. Like if they're beside me, I want to be competitive. I want to work harder than them. So, it's more the people around me that inspire me to be just a machine.
And if you don't mind me asking, how tall are you?
Oh,
because you said you wanted to be the sort of like the biggest and baddest. So I was just curious because like in the photos, you look like you're quite tall.
I'm not that tall. I'm pretty average. Like I think I'm between 170, 175 centimeters. So whatever that is in
Yeah.
inches. Yeah.
I'm not too sure, but like I'm gonna guess that that's quite taller than me. So, but that's the thing. Like I think that with your character, what I saw was like almost very similar to like a throwback of China, like because you did look broad and like I said, I wouldn't say that you're the muscular side that big, but you very similarities to that, and also to put it more on like the Australian scenes, a little bit of similarities with Steph DeLander.
Yeah, those two people I get a lot. Yeah, so many people compare me to China, and they tell me to watch a lot of China, and they've compared me to Steph DeLander, and it's good for me. I'm like, hell yeah! Like, you think you're gonna compare me to that? Absolutely.
Yeah, it's worth taking. But what sort of performers do you enjoy watching? Like, do you obviously someone told you to go and watch like China matches and stuff like that. Is that the sort of style that you enjoy doing, and is that the sort of style that you enjoy watching?
I enjoy a bit of everything. I find it quite difficult to watch any kind of sport. I would rather do it than watch it. But obviously, being in wrestling, you have to watch the product. So I have a lot of the guys in RCW sending me a lot of links to new wrestling matches, old wrestling matches, forcing me to watch it, basically. So, I watch a bit of everything.
Has there been anything that you've really sort of attracted to and gone, like I really enjoy that particular style?
I mean, style-wise for wrestling, I love the powerhouse moves. That's pretty much what I do. But there's nothing really that I gravitate towards. I really like a bit of everything, and I want to incorporate that into my wrestling style, is do a little bit of everything. Do a little bit of powerhouse, a little bit of technical, high flying is what I'm working on at the moment. So, yeah.
So high flying, is that something that you want to try and add more into your repertoire, more of like a lucha libre style?
Yeah. So all the moves that everyone has seen me do are quite powerhouse. I lift them, I slam them, my feet basically stay on the ground. But I kind of want to mix it up a bit and get up on the top rope. I've been practicing moonsaults, been doing those. Tried to whip one out on Kellyanne. That didn't work so well. But I just want to do things that not everyone's going to expect me to do.
Yeah. And like, did you have like any goals in mind when you first started breaking in? Like you were like, okay, like I want to take this as far as I can take it. Or was it like, I want to go in there and have a match and then maybe win a title, or, you know what I mean? Or then go interstate. Like was there any goals for you for wrestling?
My goals was basically just to take it as far as I can go and be the best that I can be at it. Be the best in the room, if anything.
Yeah. And, do you obviously, I should say, obviously the mindset of having that as well, like into training as well, like, is that what you took in there with training, is like, because you said you weren't like the most athletic person, but like mind over matter will always conquer all, so like, is that the way you went in there going like, no, I'm not going to quit, I'm going to keep going and keep going and keep going?
Absolutely. I joined a gym before I tried out because I didn't want to go into the tryout with all the excess weight that I had and just incredibly unfit that I was. So I was a little bit smart in that sense. So going into training, I was a little bit more fitter. But just having the mindset of wanting to be the best is what really pushes you.
Yeah. And I think as well, from like a coach's standpoint as well, when they see someone with that sort of mentality, it's like a lot of the time, like athleticism and like, ability in the ring and the wrestling side of things those are things I believe you could probably teach someone, but having the will to succeed and having the dedication and the right mentality, that's hard to sort of teach. Like you can't really teach someone that. They've got to come with that sort of mentality. So from a coach's aspect, I'm sure they were sort of going, let's see where this one goes.
Yeah, absolutely. The mindset, it's key to everything, success. So
Did you find, like, with lockdown last year, like, obviously you had your first match in December, but, with lockdowns and everything that happened last year when COVID first hit, how much of that set back your training? Like, was that set you back massively? Because I know you said like there was going to be a match in December. Was there anything going to be anything earlier than that?
there were talks of me having my debut a little bit sooner. So yeah, when COVID came around and we had like the 3-month lockdown that we had, it probably set that back a bit. But I just tried to not let that get to me, and it didn't. It helped that I had my brother with me, so we were still kind of wrestling in the backyard or working out. We were still keeping up with everything, so it was a little bit tough, but it wasn't too bad.
Yeah. So it sounds like you and your brother are obviously very close. Like, are you guys close in age?
6 years difference.
Oh,
Yeah.
wow.
Yeah. But
so I can just imagine you guys growing up and him going, "Hey, just come here. Let me show you how I can do a choke slam."
That's basically how it went. Yeah, but we've been close from the beginning. And yeah, that's one of the reasons why I joined wrestling. I was like, I want to wrestle with you. I want to just be in the same ring with you and be a tag team. And now we get to do that. We just wrestled each other in a singles match at the Aqaba last show. So that was intense. But now we're a tag team. So we're going to have our first tag team match, hopefully, next weekend at the Aqaba. So it'll be very fun.
Yeah, right. And like after having the match, and obviously you had now going into tagging, do you think like you guys could have like a pretty good feud between each other, or is like you thinking tag team now?
Oh, it's tag team all the way. We did have a little bit of a feud. It wasn't too much of a build up. We didn't have a feud for too long going into the singles, but it was emotional, very, very emotional going into the match. But it turned out well in the end. So yeah, for now, just tag team all the way.
Yeah, well, I suppose like in boxing, they always say blood brothers or blood siblings always punch each other the hardest. So I can imagine it was.
Yeah,
I remember you stole my Lemington.
All the bad memories that he's done to me as a child just came back and just didn't hold back.
Did they acknowledge it like in storyline that you guys were brother and sister, or was it not acknowledged?
Yeah. We've been trying to put over the fact that we're actually siblings. Some people still don't believe it, and it's hard to, convince people, even though
you've told them. Yes, it's true.
Yeah.
People look at it as like, oh, it's the wrestling business. They're working me.
Yeah, but we're actually siblings. There was a little bit of there was a promo that we played before the match and we put out on social media, and there were clips of us as kids. So if that doesn't tell you that we're siblings, I don't know what does.
Exactly. Like, they just got that off YouTube.
Yeah.
But, how did you find, like, as far as doing promos and stuff like that, like, the public speaking side of wrestling, and speaking or in front of the camera or on a microphone? How did you find that? Was that something that you were comfortable with straight away?
It was a bit nerve-wracking. I definitely had to go over in my head what I was going to say. I did do my first live promo not too long ago. So I was quite nervous about that, worried that I was going to fumble over my words and say something wrong. But it turned out pretty well. And my brother was there with me eventually in the live promo. So it was good to have someone to go back and forth and have someone that made me feel comfortable in the ring. So yeah.
Because I think public speaking is one of the hardest things to do. And it's like how I see like wrestlers doing it and be able to stay composed and stuff like that in the ring and not be able to like fumble your words. Like that's my biggest fear is like, whether doing something like this, I'm like, oh, and then go back. It's, But I suppose like practice makes perfect, and there's always going to be those nerves, I think.
Yeah. And we, in training as well, we have promo training. So they always help to not make you fumble over your words.
So I want to talk about the character. So Delta itself, what is your main objective as that character when you come out to the audience? What are you trying to perceive Delta to be?
Like I said before, a beast, a machine. Like you said, intimidating. That's what I want to put across. I want to put across that I'm mean, not to be messed with, but also cool at the same time. But yeah, just machine. That's what I want.
Do you want are you working heel at the moment or babyface?
Babyface, but I didn't really try to go one or the other. I kind of let the crowd decide if they wanted to like me or not. I was just going in with just like, I'm going to wrestle.
Because I feel with your character, like either way, like it could be a good baby face or a good heel. Like just altering. And like I said, like I think good performers don't really need to change their character all that much to go back and forth to, you know what I mean? Like maybe just the little tweaks here and there to make it a face or a heel. I think your character, from what I've seen, is a perfect example of that.
Absolutely. And that's pretty much what I wanted. I wanted to kind of just be in between and just let the people decide what they wanted to like me or not.
Do you feel you would have been like thrown off a little bit if you went in there like and got booed and it was the other reaction?
Oh, probably, but I wouldn't have let it show. Yeah. I had that. I wrestled Lily Blaze at Rampage, and because they love Lily Blaze more, which I can see why. When I came out, most of the crowd booed me because they thought I was just going to come in and absolutely destroy her. So they didn't like me, and so they started booing me, and I was like, "Oh, this is different." But towards the end, once they realized that I wasn't trying to tear her head off in a sense, they started to like me a little, and we shook hands and showed respect to each other towards the end of the match. At the end of the match, so
yeah. And as far as where you're at now, like what are some of your goals? Like obviously, with COVID and lockdowns and on again, off again and stuff like that in some states, but like, let's take COVID out of the picture. Like what would be your goals for the next 6 to 12 months?
Travel around Australia and go interstate, wrestle for as many companies and as many people as I can just to get around. I've been to MCW not too long ago, so I definitely want to go back there. There's plans for me to go to Deathmatch Down Under, but that's been cancelled until October, which is unfortunate. But
I was really looking forward to that card, like the double-headed card. Like that was how we actually got in contact is through Deathmatch Down Under. And to be honest, I was like, that card from top to bottom was looking like it was going to be an amazing card, like both for Pressure and for Dream. So definitely hoping that they have the same card in October, but disappointed it's not going to happen. In a couple of weeks.
Yeah, they matched me with Jake Andrew Arthur, which was like, I'm like, how am I going to compete with that? He is an Olympian judo wrestler, and you put me up against him. I'm going to try my best, but still got to wait an extra few months again.
It's the two intimidating forces in Australia going head to head.
Yeah, big clash.
Yeah, I mean, like, but as far as like going around Australia and going to other promotions and stuff, you mentioned MCW, and MCW, one of the top promotions in the country. What was your experience like going down and working for them?
It was great. I was quite, I don't want to say scared, but it was nerve-wracking, being a big promotion and also my first interstate booking. It was a lot for me, considering how new I am into the business. But everyone was so lovely. They took care of me. I went down with a few of the RCW guys, so I wasn't by myself. Yeah, the experience was great.
But it must, like, even for someone who, as you said, hasn't been in the business all that long, to be able to have opportunities where there's companies in other states that are flying you in, like that's got to say something about the talent that you've got, or and the look that you have, that that companies
Yeah.
want to invest in that.
Yeah, I'd say that the way that I promote myself on social media definitely helps a lot, and the way that I look helps a lot. But I hope that what makes that final decision for people to book me and fly me over is that they've watched the product, they've watched what I can do, and they can see that I'm actually a talented wrestler, and that all my hard work is really being put to use.
Yeah, 100%. And you mentioned, like your social media and your look and stuff like that. And while we did say there's similarities between, SDL, China, etc., your look is very unique. And like, there's no one on the Australian scene that looks like you. Like, you know what I mean? Like, and I mean that as a compliment. Please don't take that as an insult. That is a huge compliment I'm giving you. And that's the thing, in a world of wrestling, which is, you know what I mean? Like, it gets regurgitated and recycled over and over again. To have something that's unique and unique to yourself is very, very rare to find.
And that's one of the major things that you get told in wrestling, is that you have to be unique. You can't just go in there and just be a wrestler. Like, having a character is so important. And that was one of the big things that I was quite worried about coming into my debut. I still felt like I didn't have a character, but in the end, I kind of just went out there and I was myself, and that's, at the end of the day, that's what works best, is just to be yourself and intensify it, basically, in wrestling. Yeah.
I mean, as far as the Delta character though goes, like, when you are cutting promos, are the promos like, explain to me, because we know the character is a tough, badass, intimidating, scary as fuck person, but like, when we look at it, like, what is the sort of objective for the character? What is the sort of driving force of the character? Is there much communication, or are you just sort of getting in there, getting in the ring, kicking ass, and you know what I mean? Like, more action, less talk.
Yeah, definitely. I'd rather not talk at all and just show everyone what I can do. But talking is definitely something that I need to work on, and I have been trying to work on, especially interacting with the crowd. That's probably the best part, is just interacting with them and locking eyes with people, and them looking back at me, smiling, cheering me on. Like, that's the best. And so to interact with the crowd is something I've been trying to work on, instead of just going in there and just being like, wrestle, wrestle, wrestle,
I think as well, yeah, because that's the thing. Like, especially as a babyface, it's important to have that connection with your audience, with the people there. It's like, if you want them to cheer you, why are they cheering you? You know what I mean? Like, there's got to be reasons and stuff like that. And as far as, like, wrestling psychology goes, like, I mean, like, RCW is probably one of the top training schools in the country, and Adelaide has seen some amazing wrestlers come out of that place. And obviously you guys have got Savannah Summers there, who is, been wrestling for a very long time, and a complete, amazing veteran to be around. How much has she been an asset to you in your career?
Well, she was my debut match. So
You mentioned that.
Yeah, she's helped me a lot, like, through my matches, and even when I've gotten lost, she's been able to carry me. So it's good to have someone to kind of lay back on a little, especially when you're new. You freak out, you have nerves, everything's going through your head. So her being in the business as long as she has been, yeah, she's not worried about anything at all. So yeah, she's been good to lay back on when it's come to matches.
Yeah, and I suppose as well she'd be someone as well to sort of who's sort of seen it and gone through it all, so
Yeah.
can kind of have that sort of like, okay, this is what we do and stuff like that. So
Yeah.
having something like that is really beneficial. But even RCW, we've seen like some pretty big names come out of there, and it's
Mhm.
like now you see Australian wrestling where we're seeing Australians that are going over to the States, going over the UK, working for
Mhm.
major promotions and being put in prominent spots. Like as an Australian, like now, like being in the business, yeah, that's an attainable goal for you. That's an
Mhm.
obtainable goal for other wrestlers to be able to go overseas. Is that something that you eventually want to be able to do?
Yeah, absolutely. Um, Probably not for another few years, but when a few years comes up, that's a big goal for me.
I think that shows you as the maturity of you as a performer as well. Just how you said that is like, you know what, in a few years, like, you know what I
Mhm.
mean, like being able to know and understand. Okay, I've really got to like work myself up to certain things, as opposed to let's go, let's go right now. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Which I'm sure, like, a lot of people have that mentality as well. But to sit there and be able to say, you know what, I need to sort of sit back and soak this up in first before I then look elsewhere.
yeah. Well, I have so much more to learn as a wrestler, so I've got to experience more than instead of just going into the big leagues straight away. I've got to learn a lot more
Yeah.
with wrestling and matches and just everything. So.
Yeah, right. And like as far as promotions go, where are some of the promotions that you'd really like to sort of have a crack at going to?
I definitely want to go back to MCW. I want to get to DMDU eventually.
Fingers
Um,
crossed.
yes. PWA,
Mm.
Newcastle Pro Wrestling, EPW, all around Australia.
Yeah, you
Yeah.
there's those promotions probably some of the top promotions in the country, and
Hmm.
put on amazing shows. And I think you could definitely get in there and mix it up with a lot of their talent. But as far as now going into lockdown and stuff like that, how has that been affecting? Because like with Adelaide, you guys were in lockdown, you weren't in lockdown, kind of like the same sort of thing with Melbourne. Where are you guys at now? Are you guys still going to be able to have your show next week, do you believe?
Yeah, so things are looking up. We just got out of like a week lockdown,
Hmm.
which, yeah, it was a little bit rough. Like now being 2 years into wrestling and being on shows, being away from wrestling is so much more difficult now. So it was fingers crossed. I was hoping it was only going to be a week, and it was. We were able to go back to training and go back into the gym, and yeah, restrictions are easing as the days go by, and it seems that we'll be able to have our show on the 22nd. So I'm very much looking forward to it.
Do you think there'll be any restrictions on numbers for that?
I'm not quite sure. I'm pretty sure in the Aqaba we're still going to have the same amount of numbers as we did the last show. So there are still restrictions, but not too harsh.
There you go. And who are you? Do you know who you're facing yet for that card?
Not at all. No, not yet. No. All I
Just
know it's just going to be my brother and I. And we're just going to go in head first and just slam some people.
there you go. Get in the power moves and just start slamming them out. But as far as now with wrestling with your brother and the tag team, have you guys sat there and thought, okay, we have to come up with a name for the team?
Yeah, and we're still struggling with it. My brother has come up with some interesting names that I have turned down each time.
Can you
I'm like,
tell us one or two?
oh, two Brady's for the price of one was one of them. Um, yeah, the Fellowship of the Brady's, all those things. I'm not going to leak all of them, but
No, no, no. In case there's a good one in there.
I just I look at Dean and I go, no, we're not doing any of those. So far, it's just the Brady's. It's very bland, but stuff like that.
Well,
they could name it a couple of
if
times.
you've got any other siblings, you could call yourselves the Brady Bunch.
We don't. So that's the sucky thing. It's just my brother and I. So it's just, we can't really call ourselves the bunch unless we have a secret third Brady that maybe we'll bring in.
There you go. Well, maybe a trainee is like that looks similar. It's like, hey, there you go. He could be the manager, the Brady.
Yeah.
It'd be an interesting thing to see, I'm sure. But look, it is getting time to that show that we are going to play 60 Seconds with Piers. So Delta has been warned, has been told how this is going to go down, ladies and gentlemen, how this works. If you're tuning in for the first time, I'm going to fire a bunch of questions. Delta has 60 seconds to answer as many questions as she can. Delta, are you ready for us to get started?
Let's go.
All right. When you're ready, you give me the green light and we'll go ahead.
All right.
If you could ask Vince McMahon one question, what would it be?
How do I be the best?
Plain fairy bread or fairy bread with Nutella?
Oh, fairy bread with Nutella.
What would your autobiography be called?
How to not be shit.
You're auditioning for Australian Idol. What song do you sing?
Whitney Houston, I'll always love you.
iTunes or Spotify?
Spotify.
What game show do you think you'd be great at?
Ooh, anything where there's an eating contest.
What was your first concert you ever went to?
Sticky Fingers.
Worst subject in school?
Math.
What sport did you play as a kid?
I roller skated.
Snapchat or TikTok?
TikTok.
What is the worst gift someone has ever given you?
Deodorant.
In 5 minutes, you are being shipped out of space. What two personal belongings do you take with you, excluding human beings?
Excluding human beings, I'm going to take my dog and, maybe just something to eat.
There you go. That's 60 seconds with Piers. That's very logical, is like bringing something to eat.
I'm going to get hungry.
Absolutely. You're going to be out of space. Space food might not be nice, guys.
No. I've seen it. It looks gross. It's in packets and it's dry food.
Yeah, I'm with you. Definitely take a snack. But Delta, look, thank you so much for coming on. It's really great to have you on and tell us a little bit about your story and your journey so far in the world of pro wrestling. I definitely think that you've got a very bright future in the sport of wrestling. To everyone who's watching or listening, please go and check out Delta, check out RCW, check out Deathmatch Down Under, check out Australian wrestling. If you're watching anywhere in the world, we have some of the best pro wrestling in the world with people like Delta and some amazing people up and coming and some amazing veterans as well. So definitely check out Delta, check out some of these other promotions, RCW specifically, because that's where Delta's from, and a lot of other great talent as well. But Delta, where can everyone find you on social media? Where can they support you, buy some merch, and get behind the Delta machine?
You can find me on Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, Delta Pro Wrestler. Shouldn't be hard to find. Merch. Don't have any online at the moment, but if you come to RCW shows, we'll be selling merch there. So at the merch table, that's pretty much it.
There you go, guys. And like I said, guys, if you want to get an exclusive first look at Shooting the Shit Uncensored, killing the business with the Kingpin, Angel Medina, get funked with Alan Kwee Funk, and Knights of the Gimmick Table with the Dead Presidents, Boogaloo and Lowrider, head to the Realm Network. Click that subscribe button, guys, and you get an exclusive first look at all of those 4 shows. Guys, also every single week, we're going to be bringing live the NXT Review Roundup show with myself and Glenn Sexton. We're going to be bringing you the Funkin' Kingpin podcast. Man, that is a hard one to say, but guys, make sure you check that out. That is going to be live tomorrow at 10 a.m. Australian time and 8 p.m. USA Eastern American time. Also check out the sports show that we've got coming up, Wrestling with Sports, with King Mega and the Dead Presidents, guys. We've got a lot of amazing content coming up for you guys that we're going to continue to deliver, continue to be the best in Australia and the best in the world of pro wrestling media, because the MWA Podcast Network is where it's at. Special shout out to our sponsors, the Wrestling Universe, your one-stop shop for all your pro wrestling merchandise, guys. And also sleeves.com. Use promo code MWAPod. Get a 10% discount on your final purchase on all of their athletic products. And also, guys, healthvape.com. Again, a healthy vaping alternative, no addictive chemicals, no nicotine, and vitamin infused. And you know what, guys? Use promo code MWAPod and we'll give you 10% discount on that. But Delta, thank you so much for being on the show. It's been an absolute pleasure, and I definitely want to get you back on again. Maybe we could get you and your brother on, and we can interview you guys as a tag team and see how that goes.
Absolutely. It'll be chaotic, but why not? Let's give it a go.
Chaotic is what we do here on Shooting the Shit. Guys, thanks for tuning in. Make sure you keep an eye out for all of our shows. You know we always deliver. We always go above and beyond, because that's how we do on the MWA Podcast Network. Till next time, guys. Peace out.